And I'm going to get raided soon. How do I know? How do I know I'm going to get raided? I'm trying to play on both channels now. Apparently, there are people on my lack of entertainment channel that are unaware that I have a main channel. And I don't know if I can call it a main channel. I love my channels both equally. But it's the first, you know, like you love your firstborn more, I guess. I don't know. So I did raid myself. Yeah. Oh my god, I have such news to tell you. Oh my god, from yesterday's stream. Oh Dios mío, the disaster. Let's wait for more people to join, and then I will tell you about. Holy shit. Right. I had people sparking out in my DMs. Chat, it was horrible. It was... So, should I talk about it now or should I talk about it later? What do we do? I'm probably going to get clipped on this and put on Reddit again. Like it happened yesterday. I don't usually read my subreddits, but every now and then people just clip it and they show it to me. It's like, look, V, look, people are saying that you said that these VTubers, they have boyfriends and they're married, and I'm like, really? Is that what I said? Did you watch my stream? No, V, I didn't watch it, but I heard it from a guy. Oh, I see. All right. Let's wait for more people to gather in the meantime, because I don't want to repeat this story. It's like I'm pretty sure it's going to come up. Hold on, give me 1 second so I can also post this to the important people. I forgot. Oh, there we go. Right. So, and by the way, when I say Reddit, I don't mean Reddit. I mean /Reddit/, if you know what I mean. Yesterday, I gave people what I believe to be solid advice, which is to assume that every single person that is a woman on the internet has a boyfriend. And I think this is a good state of mind to have, right? Like, it helps you get past certain grievances that you can suffer later on. Now, with that said, certain people, for some reason, believe that I said two particular VTubers, who shall not be named, have boyfriends and are married. That is not what I said. What the fuck? How did you even get to that point? God. So they were very anxious in my DMs. They were very upset. And my point is, I had you listen to what I say, which is to assume, right? That's what I said. Assume every single person on the internet has a boyfriend. Then you wouldn't be so anxious right now. Because the reason you're anxious is that you believed that they didn't have boyfriends. And now you're like, oh my god, I listened to what I heard. And like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Right? Now, I also said that I know one VTuber which is married. All right? Like, I did say that. Now, why do people think that they lasered in on the particular one is beyond me. I know plenty of VTubers. There's at least 6 of them on my server. And I speak with others. It's a good thing, you know, you communicate with people. I mean, like, and there's another thing, right? Like, a lot of people are upset. It's like, oh my god, you're talking to female entertainers? Like, motherfucker, I've been on YouTube for 6 years. I talk to everyone. Like, at least all the YouTubers from my generation, from my corner of I spoke with them at least once. And they probably spoke with each other. You know, like, being a content creator is kind of being like a taxi driver. Like, taxi drivers talk to each other. I know it's shocking. And no, I'm not going to go through all the VTubers that tell you which is and which isn't married. But I will tell you something else. You know, like, it really boggled my brain for a while until I figured it out. Did you notice that a lot of VTubers, when they do real life streaming, so like they will have a camera or something, and they will do something, whether it is like baking cookies, knitting, drawing, whatever, and they have gloves on. You know, like, why do they have gloves on? I always wondered why. And when you think about it, it's probably because either they have a wedding ring that they can't pull out, because the wedding ring is actually very difficult to get out, like if your fingers grow. Or they have like the wedding ring shadow. Food for thought, you know? Like, why on earth would they use gloves? It makes no fucking sense, right? Maybe they have dirty nails and they couldn't be asked to clip them. I got what you mean, V. Lots of people are too thirsty to see the truth. The thing is, like, there is another problem that really bewilders me. Like, all the VTubers that I promoted do not do the girlfriend experience shit. I have promoted a couple on my channel that I thought that their content is interesting, right? Like, I like it. I think VTubing is great because for me as a content creator that keeps reading the daily news every day and gets really depressed with all the shit that's in the papers, listening to an anime girl freak out, it's enlightening. It's hard, it's wholesome. A lot of these anime girls, they get to say certain things and behave in a toxic manner that most streamers aren't allowed to because they have the backing of a corporation. So I really enjoy VTubing as a hobby, like to watch. And, you know, it's kind of like watching South Park back when it was good. You know, seeing a little anime girl curse at people in Overwatch, that is a good thing for me. And I felt like if I like that, you guys will like that, okay? I didn't shill for the girlfriend experience. It's not that I personally think it shouldn't exist. I mean, if there's a market for it, sure, why not? But it's not this type of thing that I would promote, right? So I'm not promoting Shy Lily. I'm not promoting Snuffy. I'm not promoting, like, the type of VTubers that are like, ooh, kissy faces and all of that. I'm not saying, like, that shouldn't exist. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fine with that, okay? It's just that I don't think you guys would enjoy it. So, all the VTubers that I promoted were promoted because of the content that they do. And because I genuinely believe that they have something worth watching. Why would it matter whether or not they're in a relationship? Okay? Personally, I don't even ask. I go by my rule. I assume that they are. Okay? Until proven otherwise. And even if they were to tell me otherwise, I probably still wouldn't believe it. And at the end of the day, I don't fucking care. I genuinely don't give a shit. Like the lady from MSNBC that tells me the news. Do you think I give a shit if she has a husband or not? I genuinely don't. I mean, I know about some that do. Okay? And I'm not going to talk about it. But, like, do the fucking math, okay? Do the math in your head. There was this gathering, I believe, so not this gathering. There was a plan from Face Connect to have a streamer house, okay? So all of the Face Connect members, I think it's like, what, like 5 or 6 of them, right? They would go to this house to do real life streaming. And I pointed out, it's like, and where are the boyfriends going to sleep? And everyone was, like, bewildered on my server when I said that. It's like, what do you mean they don't have boyfriends? Like, are you guys mental? Like, we're talking about 6 women, right? What are the chances? Like, they're VTubers. They're not nuns. They didn't go to the monastery and pledge a vow. Right? Like, they are young women. Why the fuck do you think they would not, at least some of them, be in a relationship? And again, I don't know if they are or not, but, like, do the fucking math. Like, well, what are the odds that literally all of them do not have any sort of relationship in real life? When they have the charisma and the capability of putting themselves out there and being entertainment. And if they don't, let's assume for the fact of the conversation that none of them has a relationship in real life. Then the next question should be, okay, then what's wrong with them? Like, why don't they have a relationship? Like, again, we're talking about, what, like, they're in their 20s, right? Like, 25, 27-year-old, like, not having a, really? None of them? Omoshiroi, what can I say? So, obviously, people still want to understand what I'm talking about. They will still say, it's like, oh, well, so V confirm. No, I'm not confirming shit, okay? I'm just saying, start thinking with your head rather than your cock. Was Sokenpupe in your DMs again? No, Sokenpupe actually hasn't contacted me in a while. But there were like 2 people. Like, I woke up with the phone vibrating. And it's like someone on Discord, like, oh my god, V, did you read the subreddit? Like, people are very angry. It's like, what happened? Like, oh, you said this and I didn't say shit. What the fuck? Is it safe to assume that every woman online is a man? No, that used to be the internet 20 years ago. But now it is safe to assume that every woman online has a boyfriend. And like, the reason I'm telling you this is to help you. I genuinely want to help people, okay? Like, you will get past more of a hurdle. You will get past your hurdle later on. Like, I mean, if you do the Pascal wager, there is no fucking way, there is no possibility that the e-girl is going to date you. All right? Like, none whatsoever. So, the moment you see a famous girl online, I'm not talking about the girl on the dating site or the girl on your Facebook group, no? I'm talking about, like, you see a popular girl online with thousands of people watching her, there is no way in hell that she is going to date you. None whatsoever. Just stop it. Get some help. Virtual girl sims are so strange. Clearly, they're there for the character, unlike real-life sims. So why does it matter if they're in a relationship? The thing is, like, I genuinely don't understand why people go after VTubers. Like, you don't even know how they look like in real life. I mean, they may be humongous, and maybe you're not attracted to that, you know? Or maybe they're very skinny, and you want something humongous. I don't know, but, like, you don't even know how they look. Why on earth would you... Like, why? Because, oh, she's got an interesting personality. Okay, right, sure. I mean, clearly, what streamers put online is exactly how they are in real life. We're going to talk about Alex Jones as well. I just wanted to cover this before I forget. Let me see if I missed a super chat, and then we can go to Alex Jones. Because I think I may have missed someone. No, I got all the super chats. Man, I'm good. Holy shit, I'm good. Alex Jones, a VTuber. Man, I would actually, like, if someone had the voice of Alex Jones, which is very difficult to do. I mean, it takes decades of smoking. You would have a very interesting VTuber. I would also make, like, a Donald Trump VTuber. But again, like, you need to have the voice. And I do think, like, the Donald Trump VTuber would get banned. Like, there is no way that would stay up. I would give it... I don't know, like, until the channel gets like 50,000 subscribers and people take notice. But I'm telling you, like, if you can make a good Donald Trump impression and you make a Donald Trump VTuber and you know how to talk about politics and stuff like that, it would get famous. Like, trust me, you would get a lot of people interested. Talk about Dankula and get him to get sticks on the tism. I think I can. Yeah, I can talk to Dankula. Are you telling me my super chat is not going towards our future home and she's spending it on some dude and I don't see on screen? Yes. Yes. Like, I was talking with a VTuber. Again, fuck me. It's not who you think, alright? Like, let me put it like that. You probably do not know this person. And they were telling me how when people buy them stuff on Thrones, their boyfriend in the other room eats it because they wanted to lose weight. He is a VTuber later. You should look up Fentanyl, the chicken drag. What? Fentanyl, the chicken drag. I should. But yeah, like, before VTubers, I would talk with e-girls. And, like, the same thing would happen. Like, they would present themselves in a way on camera. And behind the scenes, the boyfriend was in the other room. Like, this is not something... So, this is why I encourage people. All right, like, this is what I want you to take from this. Only donate if you like the content, okay? Do not donate if you think there is anything else. There is no parasocial relationship going on. You are not going to get the coochie. You're not going to get her to... Like, the most is that you're going to have her give you the ooh heart. You know, but that's it. That's it. Like, stop it. Please, get a hooker, all right? If you want companionship, because I get it, you know, I'm a man as well, I understand, you know, like, the desire, the lust. Get a hooker. Fuck me. I was the first e-girl. I donate to support DSP with his taxes. Didn't he actually get, during COVID, I think $1 million of his taxes erased? I think, like, that he actually managed to fit under a certain category, and the government said, like, if you're basically in this spot, you managed to get your taxes removed. My donations goes to V's wife chicken. See, another funny thing. Man, I'm so fucking smart. How the fuck did I do this? Like, I always, like, foresee the future. There's apparently 9 dogs which got in our gated community. In the middle of the night, they keep coming, and they do quite a mess. Apparently, they dig holes into the neighbors' gardens. They push over the trash cans. They're a little bit aggressive. and one of the neighbor was afraid that they're going to maul their cat. I mean, you know, dogs during the middle of the night behave differently when they're in a pack than during the day. Now, if I had chickens, if I was mentally deficient and actually listened to my wife and got chickens, they would have been killed by now. Like, there is no way the chickens would have survived that. Alright? So, yeah. Oh, my fucking God. How smart I am. Not getting chickens. Now, the neighbors are worried about getting rid of the dogs because they don't know. And, now, I could tell them why the dogs are coming, but I don't want to create discord in the neighborhood. There is a family here which adopted a little bitch. She's like a small terrier or something like that. I don't know what the fuck. And instead of keeping her in-house like normal people, they tied her up outside. So she's got, you know, like a little dog house, and she's tied up there during the night. That's why the dogs are coming. They smell the bitch in heat. So they're coming in the neighborhood, and, you know, like they're playing around with that. Whatever. Who let the dogs out? No one let them out. They were always out. It is so annoying because other European countries, like, they managed to deal with the dog problem, but in Romania, oh my God. Like, there are so many feral dogs, and people getting killed by them, children getting killed by them. Nothing is done. It's the Romanian way at this point. Like, there was a kid last year, I believe. He went to the outhouse, like he was in a rural area, went to the outhouse to take a piss, and the pack of dogs did him in. Like, they found parts of his body throughout the whole garden. You would think that would be enough in order for people to say, all right, we need to handle this No, absolutely not. So what ends up happening is, like, okay, there are people who like dogs. Brilliant. You know, fine. You like a dog. Take him in your fucking house. Take him in your house, castrate the bitch, and then keep it as a pet. Like, no one is against that, right? But no, what they do is that they feed them outside, encouraging the dogs to multiply, encouraging the dogs to come next to inhabited places. And if the dog catcher comes, they're the first people to go around and argue with the dog catcher, telling them to go away. So, as long as those people exist, there will always be stray dogs in Romania. Yes, and people are like, oh, but like, why don't you talk about the cats? Aren't cats breeding? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't remember the last time I went out and a cat jumped to bite me. You know, like, I don't give a shit about cats. They don't bite me, they don't attack me. Oh, but they attack the birds. It's like, okay, fine, they attack the birds. That's the bird's problem. I would understand if the birds want the cat's gone, okay? But, like, my problem is that when my wife is going to work, she has to go to the bus station, and on the way there's a pack of dogs, okay? Like, that's not cool. But what can you do? You know, it is what it is. Yeah, but the cats, though. The cats. I don't know. Like, I've never had problems with the cats. When I will have a cat biting me on the street, then I'll start going like, okay, maybe there's too many cats. If they were lions, then yeah, you would have a point. It's like, holy shit, the lions are coming. Wildcats make the country better. Fun fact, and then we go to Alex Jones. But here's the fun fact. Cats, wildcats, bobcats, right? The ones that have like a bushy tail. They like to piss and shit in the water. Like that's how they do it. You know, like the house cat, they like doing it in the sand or in the dirt. But those types of wildcats prefer if they can do it in the water. So if you happen to have one in your home, because some people, like, for some goddamn reason, I don't know why you'd want a wildcat in your home, but like I seen people on YouTube having it. What happens is that they take the piss in the toilet, because that's where the water is. So like, literally, like it's trained to shit in the toilet, because it sees water in the toilet, it gets inside, it does the thing, and then it pops out. It's just, it still destroys your furniture, by the way. It's like, again, wild cat. It's got claws the size of knives. But it's adorable with the fact that it can do it in the toilet. From simpling to moldering children in 1 minute. Oh, it was news from Romania, man. I'm not talking about lynxes. I'm not talking about feral. I'm talking about wild. Bobcat. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. God damn it. Why are we talking about it? How did chat manage to move the conversation? This type of thing, right? No, sorry, like more like yeah. It's the size of, well, it's not the size of a house cat. It's actually a little bit, almost like the size of a dog, I would say. Fucking adorable. Don't get them into your house. They will destroy everything. It's not a pet. It's a wild animal. Okay, Alex Jones. Should we watch from Philly DeFranco? You know, I don't care what Philly DeFranco editorial is. I just want to see the Alex Jones stuff. I just want to show you something from the trial, and you guys can.
Before saying this about Hess.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Hopefully, you guys can hear it.
That I and others have had to endure because of the negligence and the recklessness of Alex Jones.
Also breaking down in tears.
Right. I think this is part.
Because it doesn't exist, that I'm deep state. I know you know that. That's the problem. I know you know that. And you keep saying it. You keep saying it. Why? Why? For money? I know you believe me.
You've also got a lot of people talking about this moment after the judge leaves the room when Lewis
Okay, this one is the bizarre moment.
Jones some water because he had been coughing throughout the day, with Jones then offering to shake her hand and she accepts, with Heslin's lawyer then starting to argue with him about how he called the father slow and autistic, leading to this heated moment.
That's it. I'm not talking anymore. You're not doing this. That's not even a thought.
Yeah, the lawyers are acting a little bit bizarre, I would say. Like, I seen them laugh and snicker. Like, even with the Johnny Depp trial, like, I didn't see the lawyers act unprofessionally. But, like, in this moment, you know, like, he was trying to interact with one of the, you can't call them victims, right? Because it's not criminal law. But one of the accusers, yes. He was interacting with one of the accusers, and immediately, like, the lawyer cuts in and acts very offended for the cameras, like, on the behalf of the accusers. Like, that was kind of weird.
Thought. That's not the way this goes. There's no worship on him. Why? You can't feed him fake videos anymore? No, shut up.
Then, at some point...
Now this is the part that I found the most interesting.
No, I just want you to answer my question.
No, I was massaging the hole in my mouth with my tongue. I'm here, right here. Here.
I don't want to see
Here.
the inside of your mouth.
Oh, no, there's no gum.
You instructed that there were some things you could not testify about.
Yes.
And do you remember what they were?
Yes.
And what were they?
The document you put out saying don't talk about free speech, don't say I'm innocent, and a bunch of other stuff, and then that got withdrawn. I believe you withdrew it. I think it's called motion in limine.
Okay, so you don't remember?
No.
No.
I remember currently.
Stop. Remember day one where I said it's an unfair world and you don't get to interrupt the judge? Do you remember that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. But the judge gets to interrupt you?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. Okay, so you don't really remember what you were not supposed to testify about. That's what I'm hearing, because you said, yes, I remember, no, I don't remember.
Well, I'm trying to remember.
Okay, I don't want you to try and remember.
No,
I don't want you to try and remember. You either...
This is kind of how the whole court went, like the whole proceedings, whenever Alex is in. Like, this is not just some unusual thing. Like, this is the vibe of the entire trial.
Do or you don't?
Watching part of Heslin's testimony when I was coming here, and him talking about the bankruptcy, so I thought that was totally fine. I mean, he gets to. Why do I not get to do what he gets to do?
Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
stop making... Just stop.
Also, regarding...
All right. Now, again, lying under oath is very difficult to prove because it's a criminal offense. And criminal offenses, they have to be proven beyond any shadow of a doubt. So basically, anything that's not proven goes in favor of the accused. Now, if Alex says, I searched my phone, and, you know, it turns out that on his phones there actually were all of those instances, then, well, he can say, well, I may have mistyped, I may have searched on the wrong phone, you know, like you need to prove that. You need to prove that when he searched his phone in front of him, came up the results. Now, it's up to the jury at the end of the day. You know, like the jury gets to listen to it, subtitle. I mean, just so you can understand how bizarre this is and how difficult it is to prove. Let me see if I can find it. All right. So Rachel Maddow, like this is a perfect example. Rachel Maddow was also another journalist, and she was accused, I believe, of libel. And she basically said that, I think it was, OAN. She said that OAN is literally funded by the Russians and is Russia propaganda, right? So that's her claim. And she got sued over it. Now, do you know what her defense was? First of all, she said that she's not a journalist. Like, the people who watch her, they watch her for entertainment and not to get to the truth. So that was, like, issue number one, you know, Rachel Maddow saying about herself that she's not a journalist. I found that very interesting, you know, like, for some reason it got dropped. Like, no one brings it up anymore. But the second thing is, like, when she said it's literal Russian propaganda, she actually meant figuratively Russian propaganda. Does that make any sense? And in a way it does. I mean, she convinced the jury because a lot of people, they use the word literal when it's not literal, right? Like they say, oh my God, you're literally Hitler, you know, but obviously that person cannot literally be Hitler. So it's a figure of speech. That's what she went with. So what I'm trying to say is that there have been other cases, other bizarre standards where even though the person said, like, oh, this is literal Russian propaganda, and then they got sued and they won the lawsuit. A lot of people are pointing out to the political nature. Well, elections do matter. You know, the judges, they get nominated. So I don't know who nominated the judge, which is presiding over the Jones case. I can't even know. I mean, from what I watched, you know, I don't want to upset people, but from what I watched, she is more infuriated with his behavior. Like in the beginning of the trial, she seemed to be neutral, but as the trial goes on, due to various antics and other things, she gets more and more angry. Now, you get the type of judges that, you know, get nominated, so this is why elections matter. What can I say? Elena Ceausescu, thank you for the $20. Welcome back. Literally used to be not material. Now it means figurative. Yeah, like literally. Literally figuratively. Different names, but the same cat. I said, okay, people are still talking about the cat. Holy shit. Your beliefs do not make something true. You are on the road. Yeah, that actually upset me a little bit because it doesn't make any logic. So, if I say, I believe that my chat loves me, this statement cannot be debunked. Like, there is because we don't have the machine that can read thoughts, right? So if I say I believe, I can say literally anything and you cannot debunk this statement. The reason, like for example, right? I can say that I believe this is red. Now, de facto, it's white, right? But I said, I didn't say it's white or red. I said I believe. So if I believe, then in order for you to disprove this statement, you would have to know what's in my head. This is why opinion pieces cannot be treated as slander or libel, even though like sometimes by some magic they are. But opinion cannot be debunked, right? Only statements of fact can be debunked. Yeah, like for example, I could be colorblind or I could be loco in that moment. I could have... It doesn't really matter. Again, like when it's a criminal charge, like lying under oath, right? The standard needs to be beyond any shadow of a doubt. So can you say that beyond any shadow of a doubt, in my brain, I don't believe that this is red? You can't. How do you prove it, right? So it doesn't really matter what things are if the statement is my opinion. Like, I personally believe whatever. I believe that 2 plus 2 equals 5. You know, even though the statement is false, the way I phrased it, the way I framed it, doesn't matter if 2 plus 2 equals 5. What matters is, like, what do I personally believe? Yeah, it's kind of like saying in my lived experience. Literally the same shit, right? Like, in my lived experience, that's why a lot of social justice, academic jargon, like, talks about lived experiences. Because you can't debunk that. Like, if a person comes and they say, well, in my lived experience, this and this happened, you can't debunk them, right? Like, you can't call them a liar, because it's their lived experience. Now, you can say, I don't think you know what you're talking about, or I don't think your lived experience is applied to this situation. Like, that is something else. But you can't say, oh, well, your lived experiences are wrong, because you can't prove that. Or you can say, I think you're lying about your lived experiences. Right? So, that is a deep state. Yeah, it's kind of like your truth. Yeah, it literally is like your truth. Your truth actually means your beliefs, right? And your beliefs can differ, but at the end of the day, if you want to go into philosophy, reality happens. Okay? Like, reality is not something that can be faked. So, for example, there's a car crash. It's raining. You know, like, these things happen. Now, lying happens when you talk about reality. Because what is talking? Like, talking is like, I observe reality, and then I put it into words so that I get what's in my mind into your mind. Right? And that's how communication works. And lying can only happen through communication. Only words can have lying. Reality cannot lie. Like, lightning strikes. There is no lying about it. Okay, if it happened outside, it happened. It can't, like pretend that it struck, but it didn't. You know, like what I'm trying to say? So, this is when they talk about your truth. Like, your truth means, like, your explanation of the truth. That's what it means. Like, your interpretation of the truth. Because it can happen something, like, for example, you look outside and you think that there's lightning, but in reality, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was like an explosion in the distance or whatever. You believe that you saw a lightning bolt, so when you say it to other people, you're saying your truth, but that does not become in accordance with reality. I really hate talking about philosophy. Why did you guys make me talk about philosophy? It's horrible. Just let's talk about something more fun. From what I understand, now Alex Jones is filing for mistrial. I don't think he's going to get it. But this is probably the only option available at this point. So what happened is that his defense team gave more access than was necessary to the other lawyer. Like, imagine if Coca-Cola gets sued by Pepsi, and Coca-Cola has to, I don't know, share the recipe for the product or whatever, right? But they share everything, right? Like, their defense team shares absolutely everything. Like, all the company secrets, everything, you know, gets shared. That is a gross violation of, that's malpractice, pretty much. I don't know if, it is the same in English, right? Like, that's how you call it, and when a lawyer does something is not supposed to do. I mean, I've never heard about any lawyer do something like this. I haven't. Like, I even at law school, there were never rumors that someone did something so dumb. Like, this is so monumentally stupid. That I think this is career ruining, honestly. Like, there is no way that people are going to hire this person again. They might actually have to face the bar and have to give explanations on how exactly did it come to this point. It's surreal. I mean, it's kind of like the lawyer coming up to the judge and saying, yeah, my client did it. You know, like, here's the evidence. Like, he told me, right? So, I genuinely have never seen something like this, and there are people which are firm left-leaning individuals that really hate Alex Jones, and even they are saying, it's like, oh, it's good that this evidence came to light, but my God, that lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, the question is like, is it malice or is it stupidity? If it's malice, I think, I mean, it's not only that they're going to lose their career, they're also going to face a lawsuit. And if it's, I think they're going to lose their career, even if it's out of just an oopsie. A big oopsie. I don't even know how the fuck you do that. And by the way, I don't know why Alex gave them all of the data anyway. But it is what it is. I don't think even Saul could save Alex Jones at this point. Now, they're filing for a mistrial. A mistrial means that the trial is going to restart. So, they're going to get a new jury, they're going to get a new judge, and it's going to start from the beginning as if it never happened. I don't know. I don't think. Like, I'm looking at, you know, like the vibe and what was in the room. I don't think the judge is going to allow it. Oh, mistrial has been denied. There we go. I mean, the mistrial was filed, I believe, 3 hours ago. And people in the chat are saying it was denied. So, yeah. If Perry Mason would, I don't think so, man. The lawyer needs to start a YouTube channel now. I don't think that he's got many other options. I mean, you know, those who can't do, they teach. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he should start a YouTube channel. Can it be an actual error? That's what I'm thinking. Like, if you're a lawyer and you have a lot of clients, the only way that I can see it being an error is if, like, Alex Jones said, it's like, oh, it's this folder, and he didn't check, and he gave the whole folder. Like, that can actually be a possibility, you know? Or maybe Alex himself, like, forgot that he's got other information on the phone, and he said, give him the data on this phone. Because we don't know, like, how the conversation between Alex and the lawyer happened. Like, you know, people are throwing the lawyer under the bus. Because obviously he is the prime suspect in this. But you don't know, like, what Alex and him talked about. Like, if you're the lawyer and, you know, your client says, hey, this is the phone. Give this phone to, you know, part of the discovery process. Give it to the other lawyer. And you're like, okay. And then you realize, oh, shit. But, like, I think that you should have done his due diligence at least and looked at what folders he is giving. Yeah, negligence happens, but not at this level. I mean, this is huge, right? Like, this is just beyond bewildering. It's monumental. Like, there's just very little things you can do which are worse than this. Except, you know, as I mentioned before, like, you go to the judge and you say, yeah, so this is what I talked with my client during the confidential meeting. He said they did it. The judge is a massive social justice activist. Let me check. I mean, it's probable. You know, like, a lot of judges are. There's conservative judges and there are left-leaning judges. It depends, like, which president nominated them. A lot of judges are right-wingers because, from what I understand, like, Obama left a lot of benches open for Hillary to fill. But when Trump came in office, he filled all of them, so they didn't expect that. Dude, this looks a little bit photoshopped to me. Let me show it to people. I think this... Look, I don't like trusting every single thing that I see on the internet. Alright? Now, this may be true. I don't know. But I do think it looks photoshopped. Just because of the color of her hair. I may be wrong. You know, like, maybe this is legitimately her. Who knows? But it... And only 51 likes for a judge. This is 26 March 2020. Was the pandemic during 26 March 2020? I don't think they were doing the stay at home, stay safe under March. I mean, I think like most of the madness started during autumn. Yeah, it shocked people. See, Trey Daniel, how many times are you going to give me shit that I need to debunk? Huh? Like, how many times am I going to have to debunk the stuff that you're giving me? It's not the first time, Trey. It's not the first time. Like, I thought that watching my channel, you're going to learn how to figure out fake news from real news without the fact checker. March is when it started. I remember during my birthday, I actually managed to get out. Like there were still places open during my birthday. And my birthday is in April. I think it started around mid-April. I would have to look it up. But still, I'm denying Trey Daniels' lived experience. That's what I'm doing. March the 16th. And this picture was on March the 26th. Okay, it's possible. Fine. Okay, maybe it's possible. I still find the colors weird. Like, I find the shading to be a little bit weird. Like, it's photoshopped. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, many judges and even like right-wing politicians were doing the stay home, stay safe. As for, you know, like judges being political partisans, yeah. I mean, why do people assume that the judges on the Supreme Court can be political activists, but not the judges on the lower courts? I mean, I don't believe in this idea of political neutrality, right? Now, of course, you have to show political neutrality when you're in court. But every person has political biases. Every person has political leanings. Every person believes in shit. But, you know, like, there's that thing, like, you can be a religious person, but if you're a doctor, like, you're not supposed to indoctrinate patients when they're on the dying bed and get like, hey, so you don't want to believe in Jesus now? Like, do you believe in Jesus now? Like, you have cancer, don't you believe in Jesus? Hey, if you do that, you get fired. So it's kind of like the same with the judges, you know? Like, they can have various beliefs, but they shouldn't show them when they're in court. The thought is too disturbing for people to consider until they're on trial. Yeah. At least in America, like, you have the jury, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the judge does. It matters what the jury says. Also, I will show you something cringe, chat. Are you ready for the cringe? Are you ready for the cringe?
Wakanda forever.
In case you didn't hear, let's go again.
Wakanda forever.
Why are her eyes like fixated like this? It's like, like does she need to read from? See, the thing that I don't get. Why are they using the vice president to promote a corporate product? Right? Like, I'm just finding it bizarre.
Wakanda forever.
I don't know when's the last time that a politician of this caliber promoted a movie. But I find it interesting. Secondly, she doesn't seem enthusiastic to promote it. Like, she doesn't seem like hyped. Right? She's reading from a prompter. She doesn't seem like I used to be when the new Star Wars was announced, you know? Not the prequels. She like, I get more enthusiastic when a new episode of Better Call Saul appears. It's like, oh my god, it's Tuesday. Oh, I get to see Better Call Saul. You know, it's like, but she's like, Wakanda forever. Like, okay, well. But it is just, I don't know. I mean, in my country, we expect politicians to be above that type of thing. It's like, okay, well, you know, they like entertainment and stuff, I guess, but like, it's a kid's movie. It's like, why? I mean, do you have that much time off to do publicity for Walt Disney? Like, usually, you know, the people that do entertainment, the people that do sports, the people that are actors, they're the ones that are promoting stuff like that, not the vice president, which allegedly should be a little bit more busy during the current economical situation. It's a kid's movie. It's shut up, V. Maybe it's just bad acting. Oh god. Did you guys see like let me see where it is, because I made the video about it. Here we go. What I don't get is like the troll is literally in front of him. Like he can literally go and slash at the troll, but instead he does this. And I made a video about it, but like someone made a more interesting compilation. Let me see if I can find it. This was really good. Let me just scroll down. Please tell me they didn't remove. Oh my god, I think they removed it. They added like cartoon noises, like. Okay, so I actually had a conversation with Lofty Pixels, the editor of The Quartering. And this conversation happened, I believe, 4 months ago, give or take. It was on the Flashcast. And I told him, dude, it's gonna be shit. And I wasn't talking about like the story or no, it's going to be shit. It's going to suck. Like it's going to be bad. And he was like, no, V, no, it's going to be good. We don't know. We don't know until we see it. We don't know until we. And I'm like, okay, $200 bet. $200 that it's going to be bad. And he was like, but like, how can we judge? How will we assess? Cause like movies are subjective. Okay. Is this subjectively bad? By the way, like, the clip that is this subjectively bad? Is this subjectively bad? Like, are there people that you can show this and they will say, "Oh my god, that is so cool"? How many people are there like that? Would you go in front of your mother with a straight face and show her that? Oh yeah. Okay, I found it. Here you go, Chad. This is the scene, right here. Look at it. How much money did they pump in this movie, I wonder? I mean, it's one of the most expensive TV shows ever made, right? Like they pumped money into this at astonishing level. It's not even like the whole thing looks bad, but it's Galadriel, right? Like she's the most powerful sorcerer. Why the fuck does she need to do that with the? Why can't she just cast a spell? And even then, like I get what they were going with, but like the effects, they look so bad as well. Like you can literally see the wires that are pulling her up. I mean, it's just like, oh god, and you know, like there were so many hints that it's going to be bad. There were so many hints. Like for example, why do they want the halflings? There's no reason to have the halflings in this. It's like, oh, well, it's Lord of the Rings. We need to have the halflings. Oh, dwarves without beards. Yeah, sure, you know. Oh, well, the Disney way of marketing as well. Where you cast black actors in the role of white established characters. And then when people complain, it's like, it's because they're racist. This is a Disney way of doing marketing. I even call it Disney marketing. This should actually be coined now. It should be The same thing like Get Woke, Go Broke, like Disney marketing. When a corporation makes a product with a white established character like Huckleberry Finn, right? And they cast a black guy in the role of Huckleberry Finn. So that when people complain about the production, the story, whatever, it's like, it's because you're racist. That's the only reason you're complaining, right? So then you're encouraging the real fans, the people that actually like Huckleberry Finn, to go and view the story because you're sticking it to the racists. And oftentimes, like, it doesn't even make sense. Like in the Huckleberry Finn, if Huckleberry isn't white, then like a lot of I don't even know how you can tell that story, to be honest, because the race actually in that particular story matters, right? They did this in the Dark Tower. Like it's another example. Like in some stories, the race matters. For example, like having black people in World War II fighting on behalf of the Nazis. Like, that's weird. Or having a black Hitler, you know? Like, it doesn't really make any sense from a story point. And in the Dark Tower, there used to be a character, which they didn't have in the movie, but is this black lady, which is very racist. And she's very racist to the main character. It's in the books. She has double personalities, like a personality that's innocent and another personality where she really hates the gunslinger, but at the same time, she's trying to work with him because she realizes that she needs him. And it's a very interesting arc, a very interesting character growth. None of that can be added in the movie if the gunslinger is black, right? Because, like, okay, well, if he's black, then she's racist towards white people, so she can't be racist to him. It's like all that dynamic goes away. Like, you're removing all the character growth, all that dynamic, all the... So, and other times it just doesn't make sense. Like, for example... You have, imagine this way, like, let's say I make a movie about the Shogun, right? And it's in ancient Japan, and you cast some white people there. It's like, what do you mean? Like, what are they doing there? Like, Japan was a very exclusionary nation, very sealed off during that time period. Like, no one from outside Japan could just freely enter. And you cast some white people there, and they're samurais, and everyone just pretends that they always were there. You know, like, it's a joke. Like, you ruin immersion. That's the point. Like, you completely destroy immersion. You can't take that movie seriously, and the only reason they do it is for the marketing purposes. Because they want to say, oh, well, any criticism to our movie is because you're a racist. That's the Disney way of marketing. Let me pump money into your channel. Why, thank you, Roland. I appreciate it. The last road, yes. Japan are isolationists. Not in the sense of how they used to be, man. Like, they used to be incredibly isolationists. And then the Americans came with the ships and persuaded them that maybe they shouldn't. It's a very interesting part of history. It's called, like look at it. Go on Wikipedia. I can't show you on YouTube because it looks problematic. But look for the black ships, Japan. I think they even have a day where they commemorate the event because it completely, like, scarred the psyche of the people there. Like, so Japan was very isolationist, and because of that, it stagnated technologically. And one day, the Americans ended up to their shores with steamboats, technology that they've never seen before, and demanded that the Japanese start trading with them. To which the Japanese didn't want to, so the Americans did what is called steamboat diplomacy. They completely leveled their ports. I mean, like, a destruction of a level that the people living in Japan couldn't even fathom. I mean, they... Like, two ships, they brought upon such calamity to their shores that they decided that, okay, maybe it's not good to be isolationist. And then they opened the ports, and what's interesting is how fast they modernized. Because through a lot of reforms, they immediately started going to the current era by inviting some of the smartest men that lived during Europe. And they brought them in Japan, and they brought electricity, they modernized their weaponry, and that's pretty much how they managed to accomplish that. And it's very interesting because in World War II, you have Japan as a very theocratic nation. I mean, they literally believed in the God Emperor, which again, like World War II we're talking about, right? So they had the technology of the modern era, but they still had the mentality of the medieval era, where they believe that the god emperor is actually a supernatural entity which has the ability to govern over the empire of the rising sun. I mean, it's very fascinating. And what's interesting is that their army also evolved so rapidly that the branches of military were constantly fighting with each other. So you have like the Air Force, which was viewed as like the new invention, but they weren't taken seriously because it's like, well, you know, the war is won with soldiers on the ground. So the Air Force is like kind of like a joke. And then you had the actual military, which was always at odds with the naval force. Because like the naval force was like, no, we are the one that protect the waters, and we are the ones that are leading the assaults before the infantry. So it's really interesting. I mean, it's quite a fascinating piece of history. Yeah, gunboat diplomacy, it's called. Yeah, Unit 731, that's another fucked up thing. So they did experiments on people. They cut people alive, you know, like vivisection, in order to see the organs of people that were still alive, and then they left people out in the cold just to see how long it takes for them to die from exposure. They took a person's hand, froze it, and then put it into boiling water. Like all the nasty shit imaginable. They did experiments with sexually transmitted diseases among prisoners to see if they can find a cure and how fast the infection sets in. Now, what's really disgusting is that the United States actually pardoned most of those doctors in exchange for their scientific research. So, you know, like these are things, like a lot of people focus on the Nuremberg trials and on Germany, but not a lot of people focus what happened in Japan. And Japan actually had a pretty interesting excuse for the atrocities that it committed and for its acts in the war. They basically said that they were an isolationist nation and they didn't want to bother anyone, but because the Americans forced them to open, they needed resources, they needed oil in order to keep their empire afloat and not become a vassal state to other powers. And basically what they did is the same what Americans did in the past. You know, like their conquest of mainland China and other places is what the Americans did and the British did. So it's interesting, you know, like, but again, like, not a lot of people talk about that for some reason. But what's really even more fascinating is that during the equivalent of the Nuremberg trial with the Japanese, the Americans, they didn't want to assassinate the emperor, right? Like, they didn't want to kill the emperor because, again, people believe that he is God. Like, they didn't want to create this massive cultural panic if they were to assassinate the emperor, which, by the way, didn't really play that important role in the war. It was mostly the military and the officers that were actually calling the shots, and the emperor at that time had more of a I don't, how should I say, decorative role, you know, not really how it's like in the United Kingdom, but he wasn't really a puppet, but it was more like the face of the emperor, right? So what ends up happening is that at the actual trials, like at the equivalent of the Nuremberg trials with Japan, they refused to talk about the emperor because the people that were accused, if they brought the emperor up, then the question was, did the emperor know or didn't know what they were doing? So if you're, like, let's say a general and you're being accused of committing war crimes, if the emperor commanded you to do the war crimes, then the emperor is also responsible, so you're incriminating the emperor. If the emperor didn't know about what you did, then you're being accused of treason because you acted outside of the military chain of command. So at the whole trial, at the whole proceedings, everyone, including the prosecution and the defense, did their best in order to avoid mentioning the emperor under any circumstance. It's interesting how differently Japan was treated compared to Germany. Was it because few could understand Japanese and many could understand German? Probably because Germany fucked up twice. I mean, they already have World War I. And then with World War II, people were really pissed off at them. Like, you need to understand, like, just how horrible a world war is. I mean, it's at a level unimaginable. And the people in Europe, they not lived through one of them, they lived through two of them. So now you have all the historical grievances, because Germany is now fucking the continent again. And people were really, really upset. Plus, again, it's not really mentioned in Americans, because, like, they viewed the Nazis as being white supremacists, which is technically not true, because they were German supremacists, right? So there are accounts of, like, the Nazis during the occupation of France, where they would actually loot the houses of French nobility and rich folk. And there are accounts described with how, like, the Nazi soldiers went into the house of various French wealthy people and merchants, and not necessarily Jewish, right? And they would just take all of the furniture from there, they would take everything of value, and then they would sell it in Germany cheaper. And the reason they did this is to win the love of the population, because the population would all of a sudden, have access to cheap goods, cheap commodities, and they would be more likely to support the ruling class. And this is not something that it only happened in Germany. I mean, this throughout human history, the concept of empires was the same. Like you go into a place, you conquer people, and then you take the riches from there and you bring them back home in order to please your population. But what I'm going with this is that when you do that, there is going to be a natural resentment, especially from the French people, who had to live through that, and they're going to be very upset, and they're not going to be very kind when you lose the war. So yeah, I mean, all in all, regarding Japan, is probably that's why it wasn't treated as harshly. And I assume the arguments that they brought was also, I can't really say resonating, but it was like, okay, well, they were a state which was isolationist, that had absolutely no intentions of conquering China. And the United States forced them to open up, right? So that part of history is true. And it's also the fact that they were far away. And when I say far away, it's like the main sphere of influence is, at the time, was Europe, because it was like the most technologically advanced. So usually a war in Europe means a world war, right? Like you see Trevor Noah and other Americans like trying to explain on television. It's like, oh, why do people care about like the war in Ukraine so much? It's like, because it involves a superpower that has nukes. That's why. And because like when you have like conflict in Europe, historically speaking, it can expand into world wars, which would prefer to be avoided. So a conflict somewhere else is bad, but it's not as bad as a conflict. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, having a fire in your house is bad, but having a fire in your house next to the gas stove is a lot worse. Germany did not start World War I, but blamed for it. It doesn't really matter. It's the way people perceive history is more important than what actually happened. But from what I know, they did start it. Wasn't the assassination of the French Duke, which got Germany to declare war? I mean, unless you can say, well, the Serbian who assassinated, he is the one that's, I mean, yeah, sure, but like Germany could just say that they're not interested in. The thing is, like, at least the way we were told in high school, and I kind of agree with it, the assassination of the Duke was the pretext. The main powers wanted to go to war, and they wanted to go to war because of technological advancements. They wanted to test out the new toys they got. They thought that they will have the upper hand. They thought that the person that strikes first is going to be able to completely dominate the opposition, and that didn't happen. What happened was trench warfare, and one of the most brutal times of human history. Germany were itching for a war. Yeah, like that's pretty much the same way I learned about it. Yeah, like Germany was the state which guaranteed peace in Europe. Like they were the main power which guaranteed that stability exists in Europe. Now the United States is the main power that guarantees stability in Europe. Like without the United States, European nations would probably not be as friendly as they are today. Anyway, Right. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate it. I wish I had more news about Alex Jones. Like when I started it and I put the title, I thought there's going to be a lot more to talk about, but unfortunately, it's just the clips that I showed you. Plus, I don't want to go and live stream it because YouTube has terms of service that are very sensitive about what Alex Jones talks about regarding events that he claims didn't happen. Like YouTube doesn't allow you to talk about it. And while I'm not talking about it, the bot can just listen to certain keywords, it can listen to certain phrases, and it can say, oh, well, clearly this channel is violating. And it's kind of hard to remove a claim once it's being passed. But anyway, right. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys had an entertaining evening, and I'll